The firefighters' tapes from 9/11 reveal that the fires were under control and they were not raging infernos. This completely contradicts the official story told by the government.
Battalion Chief Palmer made it all the way up to the 78th floor and reported that the fires were almost out.
With that case, I saw the pockets of fire. We should be able to knock it down with 2 lines. There you go, that 78th floor, and it's no worse 1045 go on.
Just 2 isolated pockets of fire. We should be able to knock it down with 2 lines. That is just 2 water lines to knock down the fires. Minutes later, as we all know, the towers collapsed.
The way in which steel-framed buildings behave in fires depends on their construction. In this test, done by British Steel in 1995, a large amount of typical office furniture was burnt to see what would happen to the heavy steel beams that supported the ceiling. This was the largest test of its type ever carried out, and it showed how unprotected steel can be distorted even by a normal office fire. But as is usual in steel buildings, the structural beams only slowly and progressively warped and sagged. There was no chance of a sudden collapse.
In over 20 years, I have not seen, until recently, a protected steel structure that has collapsed in a fire.
Less than 3 miles from where the towers once stood, clues to their collapse lie in gigantic, twisted heaps in this New Jersey scrapyard. Time is short. The piles of high-strength steel evidence are being cut into chunks for export to recycling plants in the Far East. The deals with the scrap merchants have already been made.
Did I miss so you hit the Pentagon?
Well, the Pentagon controversy is, it's just that. It's a lot of controversy. It seems almost like they want people to just focus on that so they could later debunk it and totally discredit the 9/11 truth movement. It's a really interesting subject. Flight 77. The impact was 83 minutes after Flight 11 first went off course, and 58 minutes after the North Tower impact, and 40 minutes after the South Tower impact. Yet it was not intercepted, as it flew over the normally most heavily protected airspace in the United States and in the world. Before it hit the Pentagon, it made a 330-degree turn at 500 miles per hour, descending 7,000 feet in just 2.5 minutes. Flight 77 has caused a lot of controversy, mainly because there are 84 videos that the government is keeping secret from the public, and due to the fact that it doesn't seem apparent that a plane crashed at the Pentagon at all. To this day, the government has not released one videotape showing the plane crashing into the Pentagon. And what they have released does not satisfy the large demand to see a plane actually hitting the Pentagon.
Approximately 45 minutes after the first blast on the World Trade Center, reports started coming in of another attack on the Pentagon. These were the pictures that confirmed the reports to be true. First indications were a third airplane, apparently hijacked, had ploughed into the headquarters of the United States military. Initial reports said the plane crashed near the Pentagon's helipad. The building was immediately evacuated. In the confusion, other eyewitnesses claimed the blast was caused by a bomb. First casualty reports spoke of 7 people injured, but that toll is sure to rise.
After the wall did cave, it was clear to see a computer monitor on top of a filing cabinet and a book open on a wooden stool. The Pentagon could be used to try and discredit the 9/11 truth movement. The media seems very willing to talk about this subject, and the government seems to be setting up a psyop. Norman Mineta is the United States Secretary of Transportation and was with Dick Cheney in the Presidential Emergency Operating Center on 9/11. This is his testimony to the 9/11 Commission.
I wanted to focus just a moment on the Presidential Emergency Operating Center. You were there for a good part of the day. I think you were there with the Vice President. And we had that order given, I think it was by the President, that authorized the shooting down of commercial aircraft that were suspected to be controlled by terrorists. Were you there when that order was given?
No, I was not. I was made aware of it during the time that the airplane coming in to the Pentagon. There was a young man who would come in and say to the Vice President, the plane is 50 miles out, the plane is 30 miles out. And when it got down to the plane is 10 miles out, the young man also said to the Vice President, do the orders still stand? And the Vice President turned and whipped his neck around and said, of course the orders still stand. Have you heard anything to the contrary? And then later I heard of the fact that the airplanes had been scrambled from Langley to come up to D.C., but those planes were still about way. And so then at the time we heard about the airplane that went into Pennsylvania, then I thought, oh my God, did we shoot it down?